He was sentenced to death for killing his own mother. She was the officer assigned to make sure he didn't escape justice, but what happened in that prison cell wasn't in any training manual. In the final 72 hours of his life, a prisoner whispered a wish that no one expected, and one woman's choice changed everything. Was he a manipulator, or the only innocent man in a corrupt system? This is the story of duty, deception, and the price of looking closer.
I was 31 the first time I saw him. Marlon Hayes, 6'2", cold eyes, covered in blood, holding the broken handle of what used to be a garden rake. His mother's blood was still fresh on his hoodie, and he didn't seem to care at all. He didn't run. He didn't say much. He just lowered the weapon and said, "I'm done now." The whole village stood around him, quiet. That's the thing about the countryside. When something breaks the silence, it stays with you. The body was by the porch. Patricia Hayes, 56, single mother, worked as a social worker, hit hard in the head and shoulder. Neighbors called the police after they heard a scream and a prayer, the kind of prayer people whisper when they know they're about to die.
Did you think he did it, right there, in that moment?
I thought he wanted us to believe he did. We took him in. He didn't fight. He didn't panic. But his silence, that was the loudest thing in the room. I kept asking myself, if he really did it, why does he look so calm? There were no cameras in the holding cell, just a small window and a broken ceiling fan. It was the kind of place people forget about. 3 days went by, no visitors, no calls, just Marlon sitting under that window, legs crossed, staring at the square of sky. One day, I asked him, like it was no big deal, "Marlon, do you want a lawyer?" He smiled and said, "Don't need one. I had my reasons." He wasn't angry. He didn't seem sorry. He just seemed sure.
Did you ever feel sorry for him?
Then came the death sentence. A quick trial, one witness, a bloody hoodie, and a confession that didn't explain anything.
I had to ask her, did you ever feel sorry for him? She didn't say yes. Not exactly. Instead, she spoke of fear. The fear that she might be wrong. In the UK, death sentences are rare. But inmates still have rights. One of them is called the final comfort. A last meal, a final word, or a personal request. Marlon had one. He waited for her to bring him tea. Then he said it. "For my last nights, I want to sleep next to a virgin woman." Silence. A breath. Something small falling. A pen? She laughed, thought it was a twisted joke. But then he looked at her, dead in the eye, and said, "You're not married, are you? What do you even do with a request like that?" She didn't answer, just walked away. But that night, she didn't sleep. It wasn't the request that haunted her, it was how he said it. Calm, composed, like he was ordering dinner, not waiting to die. Later, in that same cell, he told her, "I don't want to be remembered as a killer. I want someone to remember me as human." Psychologists call this symbolic restoration, the need to reclaim dignity before death. But sometimes, it's a mask. She started digging. His files, his mother's records, one last phone call, not to the police, but to a politician tied to a shady land deal. Her last voicemail said, "If anything happens to me, it wasn't Marlon." The night before his execution, she returned to his cell. No badge, no uniform, just her, listening. That's when it clicked. He wasn't asking to touch someone. He was asking to be believed. That's when she broke the rules. She stepped into that cell. Last time, Detective Inspector Amara Collins made a hard choice. She broke her promise as a police officer. Tonight, she will share what she saw after that choice. Because sometimes, finding the truth means losing your good name. Amara could not sleep that night. The way he looked at her, it stayed in her mind. It was not because he wanted power or control. It was because he truly believed no one would listen to him. And somehow, he knew Amara would. She sat on the cold floor beside his jail cell, not fully inside, not fully outside, just there between the bars and the rules. He did not touch her. He didn't even come close. He only spoke. He said his mother had made complaints. Not one, 7, all against the same man, Reginald Wakefield. A former government leader, a big businessman, one of the most powerful men in the area. Did you check his story? The papers were gone. Amara checked police records. No reports, no case numbers. It looked like his mother never said anything. But Amara remembered something. A teacher once told her, if there are no papers, follow the people. Amara started at the mother's job, a small government office. The workers were quiet. Their eyes looked worried. One woman, Lisa, talked to her in the parking lot. She said, Patricia was scared. Detective, she said, someone was watching her house. She kept saying, they'll shut me up soon. Amara looked again at the crime scene. The rake had blood on it. Yes, but the fingerprints were only half there. Too clean, too perfect. Like someone wanted them to be found. The neighbor who called the police? No one ever talked to her. Not even once. Did she talk to the neighbor? She had left. Moved to Ireland. Just like that. Amara tried to reopen the case. Her boss, Commander Jenkins, called her. He said, stop this, Collins. The case is closed. Don't ruin your job over feelings. That was the first moment she knew. This was not just a killing. It was being hidden. Amara went back to Patricia's house. She went alone. The house had been taken by the bank. Empty now. But in the fireplace, under the ashes, she found a letter, half burned. If anything happens to me, Wakefield is to blame. Don't trust the police. She sat in her car and cried, not because of the case, but because she no longer knew who she was fighting. The system she believed in, the job she loved, was now telling her to be quiet and walk away. In many small towns in the UK, whistleblowers often get shut down. This happens more when the case involves land, politics, or family power. Silence becomes the rule. Amara visited him again. He looked very tired. Not his body, his soul. She asked him, is that really your last wish? Lol, he said no. He only said that to see if anyone would care enough to look deeper. His real wish, I want to be proven innocent before I die, so my mother can rest in peace. Amara could not sleep well. She would wake up in fear, hear Patricia's voice, dream of blood on her hands. She started writing everything down in a notebook. If they wanted to erase her, she would leave clues behind. One officer believed her. His name was Walid Bashir, a quiet tech expert born in the UK to Pakistani parents. He was smart, kind, honest. He found CCTV footage from Patricia's work building. It showed a black car following her, a car owned by Wakefield's company. Did she have enough to stop the execution? No, she had just 48 hours. No court would help without proof. She needed one more thing, a witness. That night, she returned to the village. She knocked on the door of Elaine Gray, Patricia's old friend. Elaine said people had scared her, but when she saw the burned letter, she cried. She gave Amara a USB stick. It had been hidden under a stair plank. The USB had voice recordings. Patricia was crying, saying, they want my land. Reginald came to my house and said, if I don't give it to him, he'll hurt Marlon. If I die, don't let them take my boy with me, please. Amara sent everything in. Full report, USB, CCTV. She drove to the High Court at 5 a.m. She waited in the hallway, holding the papers like her life depended on it. The judge looked at her like she was crazy, but he read the report. Then he said just one word, stay. They stopped the execution. 2 weeks later, Marlon Hayes was proven innocent. The court reopened the case. Wakefield ran away. Amara was punished. They said she got too close to the case. They said she broke rules, but she did not care. Because when Marlon walked out of prison, he looked like a real person again. They took her badge, but they couldn't take what she saw in Marlon's eyes. Hope, just before it was too late. But what happens when the man you exposed returns with power, money, and a plan for revenge? 4 months had passed since the court declared Marlon Hayes innocent. That was when Reginald Wakefield resurfaced, and someone tried to burn Amara Collins alive. This wasn't justice anymore. This was war. The morning it happened, Amara was just cooking eggs. Nothing about that day felt unusual. The kitchen smelled of oil and salt. The radio played low. Then she opened her front door. There was a gasoline bottle on the porch, and next to it, a matchbox. On it, just one word, undo. They didn't need to kill her. That wasn't the goal. They just needed to unmake her. The headlines were already sharpening their knives. Questions about her ethics floated through newsrooms and blogs. The public was whispering now, she did it for love. Maybe she seduced the prisoner. She broke the law for a man with blood on his hands. It wasn't the accusations that scared her. It was knowing the truth no longer mattered. A voice in the dark asked the question, was that the moment she knew they'd never forgive her? No, that wasn't the moment. That was when she knew they would never stop trying to bury the truth. Marlon had been released, but freedom was a fantasy. The press labeled him a miracle, but still a murderer. He couldn't get a job, couldn't walk down the street without people staring like they recognized a ghost they wished they hadn't seen. One night, she found him sleeping in his car again, same as the night she first saw him, when she was still wearing a badge and he was behind bars, but she couldn't rest. Not now. Amara started collecting evidence again. Data, transfers, hidden money trails, offshore accounts, land grabs. Wakefield was back. This time, he was the face of a charity foundation in Nigeria. Its mission statement was development. Its actual work: evicting poor families from farmland and displacing entire villages for real estate. Through a mutual contact named Walid, Amara connected with a Nigerian journalist, Fola Ajayi. Fola didn't flinch. She'd been tracking Wakefield since 2017. Her words were sharp. Your justice system let him go. Ours never caught him. Soon after, Fola sent a file. Pages of forced eviction reports. Photos. Testimonies from witnesses. One file stood out. A woman named Ngozi Adimora. She had been shot during a farmland protest, and the document authorizing the demolition, signed by Reginald Wakefield. Another voice whispered through the audio was that Amara's breaking point? No. Her breaking point came later, when she realized she had protected someone from a corrupt system, only for that system to bring in a new monster. They began planning together a joint podcast. Fola would expose the corruption in Nigeria. Amara would detail the suppression in the UK. It was ready. 3 days before it was set to release, Fola vanished. No emails, no updates, not even a tweet. Silence. Then a message came from Fola's cousin. Her apartment had been broken into, her laptop gone, her phone smashed, her notebook burned. When whistleblowers disappear on opposite sides of the world, it's not a coincidence. It's coordination. Statistics from independent studies show that over 70% of corruption exposés in high-risk zones are intercepted before they're published. Amara became a target next. She was placed under internal review, accused of breaching protocol in Marlon's case. Her laptop was seized. Her badge suspended. Permanently, it seemed. With no official path left, she made a decision. Risk everything. Go public. Using a burner microphone, she recorded everything. Land grabs, death threats, stolen files, footage, the truth about Marlon. Then she uploaded it all to the only place they couldn't control, this podcast. Then, unexpectedly, Marlon spoke. His voice was soft, British Caribbean. He said, I never asked her to save me, I just asked her to see me, and she did. Every night, behind bars, when everyone else saw a convict, she saw a man, not a monster. They tried one last time to stop her. The night this podcast was scheduled to air, her flat was set on fire. She escaped through the window, clutched in her hand the notebook Fola had sent her, the only copy that survived. Amara Collins lost her badge, but she kept her story. Marlon Hayes now volunteers at a rehabilitation center for wrongly convicted men, and Wakefield, still untouchable, still free. But the voices don't stop. Patricia's, Fola's, Ngozi's, the woman in Lagos who was never meant to die. Some nights, Amara wonders if she won anything at all, or if she only managed to delay the next execution. Then she says, in a voice barely audible, I saved a life, but I lost everything else, and if she had to do it again, she'd still open that cell door. If your last wish was to be seen, would the world look away? She gave everything to reveal the truth, and they tried to burn her silence into history, but you heard her. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment, subscribe, and let the world know you're not looking away.